I'm going to list this one under another view from an old Polish perspective. Correct me if I'm wrong. Well, originally I was going to do a Sound of Freedom Part 2, but after I took a look into what the left was saying, I decided to title this one The Sound of Woke. Anyway, we're going to take in and dwell on a couple of things that what the woke has been doing. They've been producing films about child trafficking for years, and how come all of a sudden they got to jump all over this one? Is it because the film Sound of Freedom was produced by Christians that it's okay for them to produce their own documentaries on child trafficking, but if a Christian does it, whoa, all of a sudden something's wrong? Well, we've heard way too many comments from the left about the movie Sound of Freedom. Realistically, it is rather shocking to see people take a stand against a movie produced to call attention to something we should all agree on. I mean, realistically, if this doesn't unite the country, I don't know what is. And you know, Biden, the guy who said he was going to be the president of unity, how come he's not taking advantage of it? Well, okay, we got all our suspicions. So what is the reason some of the left launched into an attack mode over Sound of Freedom? Well, we all have our suspicions. And when we have our suspicions, common sense tells us patriots to do what? Launch an investigation, which is exactly what I did. Now, this is one of those investigations you get the feeling that God's Spirit is more than willing to guide you through. As a matter of fact, we all know God wants to protect the children more than we do, so we're going to take a little view into God's infinite protection for his children. Well, okay, so God's Spirit is more than willing to show us exactly what's happening behind the scenes. And most of us know how God's Spirit works, and we all have God's Spirit working within us to one degree or another. Well, experience has taught me when we follow that lead to investigate something, we can expect to see things we didn't expect, and in this case, things we never imagined. Guess what? Some of the things turning up on the internet were unexpected and shocking, to say the least. So stick with it, and we're going to cover YouTube, Sesame Street, and of course, our old favorite Disney. But first, what we're going to do is we're going to launch into a video that I think sums everything up. I mean, at least sums up the views from the left and why we're looking at everything, every single subject, even child trafficking on diametric, or in this case, opposite poles. So let's take a look at this short video about a Waukesha school teacher that was fired from her job for, obvious reasons.
Yeah, guys, you already know what's coming, okay? You already know what is coming, okay? We got to talk about a woke teacher by the name of Miss Melissa Temple, who has faced a whole lot of backlash and scrutiny from the local school board for trying to force her first grade students to sing the Rainbow Land song. Okay, now this song is a song that is by Miley Cyrus and Dolly Parton, and the song is about LGBTQ acceptance. Okay, and this teacher, who is a self-admitted activist, right, as you can see in this picture right here, okay, this is a full-blown activist teacher. Again, she really is passionate about this subject, and she wants to indoctrinate her kids with this song, and the school board is not letting her, so she's been throwing a fit about it. ever since she was removed from the classroom for, again, trying to push this song on her students. Take a look.
58 News at 5 starts right now.
Fear that my students will be more traumatized, hearing negative things about me.
Tonight, a CBS 58 exclusive. An elementary school teacher reveals that her job is in jeopardy over the Rainbow Land song controversy. Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Well, as you can see, based on that video, we got a really clear picture of why the left and the right have different spectrums of views, or let's just say they're on the opposite side. Okay, number one, we see a school teacher who claims she's a self-proclaimed activist, which means what? She's a political activist. And she's crying that the school board is forcing their political views on her. And she sees nothing wrong with her forcing her political and sexual preferences or ideas or theology on first graders. Oh, come on. Like, you can't see the obvious effect that these people are having on children. And she thinks it's perfectly all right for her to force her opinions on first graders, 6-year-olds, but it's not okay for anyone else to voice their opinion. And then you have the idiots standing up there with signs about freedom of speech and everything. Well, okay, so she can teach her sexual views and everything in the school. Are they all right with having prayer in the classroom, reading the Bible in the classroom, people talking about Jesus in the classroom? Come on, you open up that door, you're going to have an endless stream of teaching everything from Satanism to Christianity to the Muslims got to have their part. You got all the other religions that are going to wind up popping in, and the kids will never have any time to learn what they're supposed to be learning. Okay, school, you stick to the basics, and that's it. All right, time to start jumping into things now that we see the main reason we're having these problems with the movie Sound of Freedom is the left really truly believes that their opinion is golden and everybody else's opinion just doesn't matter. Matter of fact, it shouldn't even be discussed. So anyway, let's start with a thing with the New York Times. It's time to resist the satanic panic as the United States shifted with the anxieties of the 1980s, baseless conspiracy theories about satanic cults committing mass abuse spread around the country. Okay, so basically, this stuff that's happening in the Waukesha school and all this stuff we see on the internet and all that stuff, it's really not happening. We've seen the satanic rituals and videos and all that stuff that are all over TikTok. As a matter of fact, I don't have a TikTok account, and I don't even think I should or any of us should dwell into that stuff because it's just totally useless. We got to be the example and lead kids out of that stuff, okay? But here we go. New York Times, all this stuff is just a satanic panic. It's just conspiracy theory and everything else. And that leads us right into The Guardian. You notice The Guardian, the name, oh man, this news agency is here to protect you. So what do they say about the Sound of Freedom? Everybody's already read it. They call the Sound of Freedom movie a QAnon, conspiracy thing. There's really no sex trafficking. There's everything's exaggerated and all this other stuff. I mean, that's the stand the Guardian took, and that's the stand a lot of the left media followed. And what do they say? the unintimidated may not pick up the red yarn and chalkboard subtext pinned onto a mostly straightforward extraction mission in South America, pretty much taken with a faint whiff of something noxious in the air. Those tuned in to the ear perforating frequencies of QAnon, however, have heeded a clarion call that leads right to the multiplex. So basically, watching that movie is a big QAnon conspiracy, blah, 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 the whole bit. And, if you read that article by The Guardian, there's all kinds of subliminal hidden messages in there and all the other stuff. So, that's something they want to deal with. But it's not the only movie that was produced about child trafficking. And then we've got, we're going to take a look at this article, All Things Considered by the PBS. How law enforcement is promoting a troubling documentary about sextortion? Okay, sextortion. Sometimes, I don't know, especially the left likes to make up words, So what do they say about this? Law enforcement officials around the U.S. are sponsoring screenings of a new documentary film that warns parents about the dangers of sexual coercive crimes online. Dozens of organizations, including local police department, universities, a film festival, the Pentagon, and U.S. Attorney's Office have lent the film credibility by hosting screenings. 2 other U.S. attorneys' offices promoted the film in news releases. Now, here we go again. PBS, we know PBS is honest as the day is long because they're funded by our federal tax dollars. So why would they lie to us? We're the ones paying them. Okay, the film features federal and local prosecutors as well as Homeland Security investigation agents describing a series of crimes against children that they believe is on the rise. But it also contains claims disputed by other experts in the field with an emphasis on large statistics that experts say muddle the scale and scope of the problem. NPR has learned that the filmmakers in the film's promotional materials misrepresent cooperation with the Department of Justice. In other words, PBS, in their infinite wisdom, knows exactly how many children have been molested and how many children have been put into prostitution and how many children have been contacted online by predators and everything else, and they know the exact figures, and they do not agree with the figures on the film. So, but where's PBS's figures? They don't put in figures to dispute anything. They don't put in any facts. They don't put in any statistics. They don't put in anything in this article that turned out to be nothing more than an opinion that just happens to support the predators and sex offenders and pedophiles and everything else. Why is PBS sticking up for these people? Other than the fact that if you really dug into PBS, you'd find out that, just dig in it yourself and see what, you tell me what you think about their staffing and hiring procedures. Okay, the project comes from filmmakers Stephen and Maria Peak, whose past work includes a documentary about a teenage dance troupe and a collaboration with a notorious anti-Semite and conspiracy theorist who believes that alien shape-shifting reptoids controlled world events. Okay, obviously, PBS, or All Things Considered here, they're making this claim with absolutely no proof, no evidence whatsoever. They know they really can't fight the statistics because they offer no statistics themselves to disprove it. So what do? They make up a story and link these people who made this film with a complete idiot. The thing about it is common sense asks you, why would a couple of right-wing conservatives collaborate with, obviously, a left-wing conspiracist? Well, PBS is pretty familiar with these left-wing conspiracy artists. So, yeah, let's just link the two together. Nobody will ever check our information. So, that's where we are with that one. Okay, one thing we got to really take a look at is, and it's coming on the horizon, we know it's around the corner, is AI-generated images of satanic kids event misrepresented as real. I mean, we just went through a complete article that was nothing but a pack of lies, and it was written by, an author, a person, but now we've got this artificial intelligence that's going to be utilized to come up with even bigger and bigger lies, and they can manipulate videos, they can manipulate pictures, they can do all this other stuff, and they can really, I mean, these sex offenders on all levels can really use a computer, and let's face it, Congress has, how much is it right now? I think it's up to $22 trillion they've got, distributed to these people to start using this artificial intelligence. So that's something we got to be on the lookout for. Okay, now, the thing about it is these people are attacking Sound of Freedom. Well, why? Okay, we're going to take a look at this. For one thing, there was this movie that came out in 2016. It's called The Abolitionist. I'm just going to read a little bit here. The bold title reflects how serious its main characters take the problem of child sex trafficking and their missions to liberate its victims. Dubbed Operation Underground Railroad, the mission is led by Tim Ballard, a former Homeland Security agent who fought sex traffickers at home and abroad for a decade before deciding that he could do better as a private citizen. Now imagine that. Okay, Tim Ballard is the same guy the movie Sound of Freedom is based on. Okay, this movie in 2016 came out, but did you hear any complaints in 2016 about it? No, we didn't hear any complaints about it in 2016. But now, all of a sudden, 2021, Biden and his happy crew of the most, diversified cabinet in U.S. history is in charge. And he's got all these attorney general. He got basically the whole court system on his side, and the FBI and everything else. Now they're going to come out and complain about it, but not a word was mentioned in 2016 when they made a movie about Tim Ballard. But today, we hear no end of the complaints. Okay, here's another one. Children for Sale. This video was produced as part of a CNN Freedom Project in order to raise awareness about the presence of trafficking in the United States. The video places particular emphasis on how young victims are treated with the American justice system. Teenagers caught in the sex trafficking industry often face prostitution charges and other legal backlash rather than being treated as victims of abuse of traffickers. Okay, so basically this is produced by CNN. I don't have a date here, but CNN had this Freedom Project. So the question I have, I don't know how many years ago they did this, but how come it's okay for CNN to produce a documentary about sex trafficking, but when Christians do it, all of a sudden, boy, I mean, that's really something to get upset about. That's something to attack. They have no problem, showing us that they have a set of double standards they want to follow. Okay, very young girls. This is an 80-minute documentary. It can be viewed free with an Amazon Prime account or Doc Club subscription. The film opens with the home videos of two sex traffickers in New York who recorded their day-to-day lives in hopes of starting a reality TV show about their lives as pimps. These videos have since been leveraged to sentence the two men to prison time on trafficking charges. Well, good. At least they put them in prison. Several young women who were first trafficked between the ages of 12 and 14 discuss how they were lured into the trafficking industry, what they endured at the hands of their traffickers, and how their lives have been changed. Okay, so basically, Amazon got into the documentary business about sex trafficking. So, okay, this brings up the question. Were they really concerned about the lives of these 12 to 14-year-old women whose lives were ruined? I mean, have you seen anything about, okay, Amazon bought the rights to this film, they put it on their Amazon Prime, they made millions of dollars off of it. Anybody read anything about Amazon helping any of these women? Kind of sounds like another Black Lives Matter, to where they take in $1 billion or so and buy a couple of mansions and to hell with the businesses and stuff that were burned and the people we made promises to. We got our money. We're communist. We're happy. We win. You lose. That's communism in a nutshell. So basically, we gotta start asking these questions. Okay, Rotten. This 2-season documentary series is available on Netflix. Each episode focuses on a different industry in which human trafficking is present, including dairy farms, avocado plantations, and sugarcane harvesting. A powerful benefit of this series is that it not only exposes the abuse workers endure within these industries, but it also discusses other issues that are interconnected with the trafficking industry. So basically, this is the industry to where we're seeing it today. This is a couple of years old. Netflix did a documentary on, they're taking people across the border, they're smuggling them in the United States, and they're basically making them slaves, having to work for these companies. Okay, and we know it's happening today, but how come it's okay for Netflix to make a documentary about trafficking and nobody complains about it? But hey, once again, now that we have a couple of Christians doing it, oh man. Okay, the traffickers. This 8-part documentary can also be found on Netflix. And then you're going to try this guy's name who hosted this documentary series while she was in her 20s, travels to all corners of the earth to talk with victims of trafficking, and trafficking survivors, traffickers, and those who purchase trafficked goods and people. So, okay, I'm not going to get into the rest of these details with this, but Netflix seems to have made documentaries about all kinds of trafficking. And once again, I'm going to ask a question. Okay, we saw all Netflix's billions and billions of dollars that they made. Anybody remember reading anything about using all of that money they made profiting off these documentaries to help people? Okay, I'm waiting for an answer, but realistically, my mind is thinking about maybe that's why they're complaining about Sound of Freedom, because we've already seen proceeds spent to help combat child trafficking. Maybe that's what they're complaining about. Maybe the left is complaining that the funds from Sound of Freedom are going back into combating or fighting child trafficking and not into the pockets of the producers and everything else. Okay, now I can see why the left is so upset about that movie. I knew he'd find the answer. Okay, sex trafficking in America. This is done in 2019. Directed by Jezza Newman, available on PBS Frontline. Okay, here's PBS again. Remember, PBS was the one that was doing all the complaining about Sound of Freedom. They didn't like that movie. They didn't think it should have been filmed. They don't think anybody should see it. But in 2019, just a few years ago, they did a documentary, Sex Trafficking in America. Filmed over 3 years. 3 years they spent on this project. This 54-minute documentary from PBS Frontline takes a look at sex trafficking in the United States. At 16, Kate was kidnapped and trafficked by men she met online. Through her story, the film exposes how victims are chosen, groomed, and sold. In the documentary, Kate said that she didn't even know something like that was possible in the U.S. The film also follows a unique police unit based in Phoenix. They fight sex trafficking through techniques like undercover social media operations. While Sex Trafficking in America reveals the trauma of trafficking, it also offers a glimmer of hope. Okay, so basically, PBS, who they don't have to make any money off the movie. They make more than enough money from our taxes. So, we wouldn't expect them to obviously, profit off of a documentary and help people. Not my life. This is back in 2011. So this has been, we all know it's been around for a while, but it's just nice to see that, hey, we have the evidence. While Not My Life focuses on the systematic subjugation and abuse of children, specifically its scope is otherwise broad. Filmed in 5 continents and 13 countries, it explores the many ways young people, some 29 million of them, are enslaved and exploited, from forced labor and domestic servitude to sex trafficking to child soldering. Child soldering. That's right. You see that in Africa. The victims' first-person encounters are particularly powerful. Okay, so here's another documentary, 2011. Anybody remember the left or the media complaining about that one? No. Come on, it's like the last one we looked at PBS. They were doing it to educate people so that young women knew, hey, that threat existed. Okay? Okay, we're going to get into a few little things here. Okay, this last one was produced by the United Nations. Okay, the Executive Director of the United Nations Office on Drug and Crime. So, the United Nations got involved in 2011 producing films about human trafficking and all the different areas it's involved in. But, okay, how good of a job has the United Nations been doing in watching over this trafficking and trying to eliminate this trafficking? We're going to take a look. One of the things, first one we're going to take a look at is YouTube. That's worldwide. United Nations is worldwide. So the two are related, right? You think if something bad was happening on YouTube, the United Nations would raise the alarm like they did about human trafficking back in 2011. Okay, the third issue is that pedophiles are leaving comments on YouTube channels with timestamps as to when kids can look at a video to see sexually explicit content. Once pedophiles and predators land on a kid's harmless video, they post timestamps like 1:23, for example, which indicates a point in the video where they can pause to see a potentially suggestive image. Okay, so we've got pedophiles and predators getting on YouTube, and this is actually called YouTube Kids. And they're leaving sexually explicit information on there for kids to see. Anybody doing anything about it? Other predators use these timestamps to skip straight to the shot. With the help of timestamps, pedophiles are using videos as a canvas to create sexually suggestive photo stills. Okay, this is happening on YouTube Kids. Now, when we see anything that's specifically pointed at kids and owned by a multi-billion-dollar agency, we should be suspicious, we should investigate it, we should take a look at it. As a matter of fact, we should make sure that when it says it's made for kids these days, we make sure we keep our kids away from it. Yes, you read that right. Suicidal messages and even instructions are being shown in the middle of shows most parents, including yourself, thought were safe for our kids to watch. So here we got two different things. We've got the pedophiles that are leaving pictures on YouTube Kids, and we've also got people who are trying to talk your kids into committing suicide, or even, we're going to see, teaching your kids how to commit suicide. And they're not the only ones. YouTube is only one of the areas we got to watch our kids in. This is moms.com, I believe it is. Anyway, parents are finding popular kids content on YouTube Kids with hidden messages. Parents are now taking matters into their own hands by finding and flagging controversial clips that are making their way back onto YouTube. Okay, this is in February 26, 2019. So it's been around for a while. Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? Is YouTube trying to police this up? Well, okay, take a look at Chicago. Young people are on YouTube and they make plans to all visit and congregate in a particular area at a particular time. And I'm sure you've seen the videos of what happens when you all get together in Chicago. And then, of course, they got the mirror that says, oh, this is perfectly all right. It's just kids getting together on social media to get together and have fun with one another. That's what the new Chicago Mirror says is going on in Chicago. Just kids having fun. Okay, simplistically living. Everything you need to know about the subliminal messages on kids' YouTube videos. Okay, take a look at this article, read it yourself, look it up. Shouldn't be very hard to search on the internet, unless it gets edited out or censored. The Splatoon style cartoon features YouTube personality Filthy Frank and his skit about self-harm. Filthy Frank's video not only encourages kids to harm themselves, but also features a side-by-side animated pantomime cutting his arms. He says, "Remember, kids, sideways for attention, long ways for results." End it. The video was edited by an online but an unidentified troll. Okay, so basically, hey, if you're on social media like Trump's site or MeWe or some of the other ones, we all know we run into trolls all the time. Is that the only thing trolls do, is try to attempt to get into adult conversations or just post their stuff? No, these trolls are also teaching kids how to do suicide and leaving explicit photos on kids' YouTube. I mean, come on. You know, is that why they're so against the movie Sound of Freedom? Because they're trying to recruit these kids and kill these kids, and we're trying to save them. Okay, we can see these opposing views are beginning to align themselves and become evident. Okay, the first one is being referred to as Momo Suicide Challenge. This is where a creepy, bug-eyed woman offers children instructions on how to take their own lives. And it's creepy as hell even to just look at it. So here we go. You know, I mean, this stuff is on YouTube. They create this stuff. And this is a form of artificial intelligence. This is what they're using artificial intelligence for. The question I got is our government paying for this just like they are for PBS? We got to ask these questions. Actually, we should demand investigations into this. Okay, so we go right from, we got the obvious evidence of people online trying to teach kids how to commit suicide, and that brings us right up to a famous TikTok person. I was going to say artist, but I don't want to call him an artist. The guy's a fool on my site. And okay, I'm going to make some comments here later, but this is, of course, Dylan Mulvaney.
This month I celebrated my day 365 of womanhood, and Bud Light sent me possibly the best gift ever, a can with my face on it. Check out my Instagram story to see how you can enjoy March Madness with Bud Light and maybe win some money too. Love ya! Cheers!
Taking a look at that one famous video of Dylan, we can see a couple of things. Number one, he's well funded. Number two, he goes out of his way to play a scatterbrained 6-year-old child, so we know exactly what audience they're trying to target. Number three, if you look at his statistics, or at least what's shared of his statistics on the internet, that guy has 9 million followers on TikTok. Well, now we know why President Trump wanted to ban TikTok, but we're kind of stuck with it. Well, with that being said, we're going to take another look at a short video featuring, of all people, Dylan. So just bear with it.
I live for the gays. I live for them. I live for the gays. The gays, the gays, the gays. The guys, the gays, the gays make me happy. I don't want to live for anyone else. Gay, gay, gay. Be gay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Whoa, whoa.
Okay, so that's one of the messages that obviously the financing behind the left wants to portray. But we got to ask ourselves, why are they using a professional actor, paid professional actor, to depict the character of a completely, what would you call it? Okay, a 6-year-old child with absolutely no understanding, just plain, simple, stupid languages. You notice how they use music. You train a child with music. Okay, so they're training a child with music, and they're obviously, we're going to get into it in a second here. As a matter of fact, I want you to look at this picture. Yeah, okay, here they go. So they're going to flood the internet with Dylan mutilating herself or going under plastic surgery or face surgery or whatever. And we all hear this other stuff about actually the U.S. government, Democrats and all this stuff are pushing sexual mutilation. They're even paying for it. This stuff is sick. We don't even really want to get into it. But let me ask you the question. On one hand, they say, I want people to love me the way I am. Okay, if they're going to say they want people to love them the way they are, then how come there's so much in the surgery and changing things? Isn't that an oxymoron? Aren't they hypocrites? But anyway, I don't want to dwell on that too long. We got to look at what else do we see. Well, we see Sesame Street, and we all know, Sesame Street, beware. Enough said there. Then we're going to get into our favorite, not our favorite, but we know the Devil's House, which is called Disney. And Disney, yeah, we could do an hour on Disney, but we're gonna try to keep this a little short. But Disney, the House of the Devil. Well, that's just it. We've got Disney that uses subliminal messages. They've been doing it for decades. Yeah, okay, Donald Duck reading Mein Kampf. What kind of messages were they trying to portray back then? And you even see, swastikas on the walls and all kinds of other stuff. Subliminal messages left and right, left and right, left and right. They've been doing it for years. And then they've got this one. Take a look at the picture. We love you, Satan. Was this a mistake? Obviously, I'm going to let you decide. We're going to take a look at the video, and then you kind of decide if this is a harmless mistake. They just happen to edit and leave in a movie, or you got to kind of question the fact if Disney, of all people, is going to make a show about Christmas and Santa Claus, what kind of messages are they going to try to put in there? What is really their motive in making a movie about Santa Claus and Christmas?
Belly. There we go. That's funny.
But Disney didn't stop with Christmas. They're going on and on, more and more, pushing harder and harder, being more obvious with their direction, and we can see why DeSantis in Florida is actually passing laws to try to curb Disney's influence on children. Now, this was posted on April 15th, 2023. The credit is Disney, and this is actually, you can see it says, Disney's new satanic love story, Pauline, in Disney television. Okay, you can look at the picture. Are they trying to hide anything? Well, let's take a look at what this is all about here. Okay, Pauline is Disney Plus most shocking show yet. This is basically the press release that Disney came out for this new series, Pauline. Basically, okay, Pauline is a brand new German show from the creators of How to Sell Drugs Online. So basically, Disney decided to hire some people that were teaching kids how to sell drugs online. So where'd they go with this one? Okay, we're just going to take a look. Basically, this is on Snoops. The claim Disney plus Greenlight, a TV show about a teenage girl who gets pregnant after a one-night stand with the devil. Guess what? That's true. They're not even trying to hide it. They're proud of the fact that underneath this current administration, they're able to air stuff like this on TV for kids. And that's about all we got right now. So, what do you think? I mean, you take a look at that Disney stuff, and it gets more and more and more shocking. And we're about to see things that are going to shock the hell out of us. They're either going to motivate us to do something about it or shock the hell out of us. But what can we do? Well, basically, what do? Can we form an organization that's going to let these pedophiles know that there's 80 million patriots in this country with their heads on a swivel? They're going to be looking out for them. We see them grabbing a kid, and we're going to get involved. We're going to stand up for the kids. We're going to be God's warriors. Well, anyway, leave a comment, subscribe, share, never stop praying, and don't forget 90% of prayer is what? It's listening, right? Okay,